Okay, so welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a recap of the finale of Insatiable Season 2, Episode 10, The Most You Can Be. Okay, so, it was kind of lackluster. Okay. So, Stella Rose, so it opens up, obviously, where the last episode left off, where Stella Rose, surprises Patty. A whole fight ensues there, and they're fucking each other up. Patty eventually overpowers her, kills her. Okay. So shortly after that, Nonnie calls and she starts asking her Patty about Christian's phone. Asking her like, why did she have it? Did she know she had it? Of course she lied. She's like, no. He was stalking me. What she said, he probably put it in my bag. So she made up some kind of cockamamie story. And so Nonnie was like, we should go to the cops. And she was like, no cops. I don't want to say anything. I just want to deal with it. So Nonnie said she wasn't going to go to the cops. Okay. So she ends up stuffing Stella Rose in her body in a suitcase. And that's where the body stayed for a couple of days while she binged. And of course, the body started to decay and smell and the whole thing. So we see Armstrong and Patty, they're in bed. You can see that they're getting closer, the whole And then he decides that, okay, for one last time before he becomes mayor, that he would coach Patty one last time. So they head back to the house and they go into the room. And that's when Bob was like, okay, what is going on? Because you see all the empty wrappers and everything that's going on. And so he basically sat and talked to her and said that, he would want to coach her again. And she was like, well, what about last time? We said we were bad for each other. And they talked. He said, but going forward, we can't have any more lies. You have to be honest. And this is all while he's sitting on the suitcase that's holding Stella Rose's body. And she agreed that they were going to be honest and be truthful from then on. Okay. So you go over to Barnard's house. Of course, he's depressed because he's never lost in his life. So Coralee goes over and he's sitting there eating like a pint of ice cream. And she starts talking about a potential investor she has. And if things work out, then she would probably be moving to Atlanta. And of course, he, doesn't want her to go. And he's concerned about her and the baby. And then he's like, he has to know who the child is. He doesn't want to have another child out there like, the whole situation with Roxy. He doesn't want to have another child out there that he doesn't know. So he wants to do a paternity test. She agreed to do it. So you have Dixie. She's with her mom back in Minnesota at the same mall where she was kidnapped as a kid. And they had a quick flashback. She was like, I should have never left you. And then there's a flashback of her in a stroller and the mom stepped away. And then shortly after that, they're sitting at the table. And of course, now Dixie's in his wheelchair. And she was like, I'll be right back. So she steps away. Who appears? Vagina. And of course, Dixie is happy. And she goes on and rolls her on the way. Technically, can it be considered kidnapping? She's 20 years old. And whatever. Okay, so it repeats itself. Okay, so Bob and Patty, he's telling her that that she has to get ready for the Miss American Lady pageant. And so down there she's doing her makeup, he's doing her makeup, and then all of a sudden Angie walks in and saying, "There's some people here to see you." So it was Pastor Mike, who's Christian's father, and Nonnie. And Pastor Mike was like, what are you doing with Christian's phone? And then, of course, there's Patty sitting there like, you told him? And, of course, Nonnie's like, well, of course I told him. Why wouldn't I say? You told me I go to the cops, but, the calls all the calls have been made here in the town, da-da-da-da. And, of course, Bob Armstrong, he's like, oh, shit, what is going on? Eventually, Angie was like, just, get the hell out of here. Da, da, da. And of course, he's doing this whole thing where he's touching you, where he could touch you and sense what's going on with you. And they're just like, get out of here. So he ends up being, pushed out. He basically, he was going to the cops. And he knows that she knows more than she's saying. And yeah. And so, Bob pulls Patty to the side. And he was like, why didn't you tell me about the phone? And she's made, of course, some cockamamie stuff because she's a pathological liar. She's a narcissistic bitch. We've already established this, okay? And then he said, well, you took care of the Christian's car. Remember, he paid the guy at the junkyard to crush it. And he said, yeah. So Patty was like, so did you stay and watch him crush it? And of course he didn't. He said, okay. So they go to the junkyard. Christian's car is still sitting there. And so now they figure, okay, we have to crush this car. But of course, the guy who owns the place, he's gone. So they decide they're going to do it on their own. And just a bunch of craziness. He didn't empty the gas tank. So when he crushed it, there was this explosion. And yeah, okay. So, so all this time, Stella Rose still has, Patty still has Stella Rose's body in the suitcase. And trying to figure out what she's going to do. So she decides she's instead of dealing with the body right away, she decides she's gonna work out because she had the whole bench session. So she works out, and then after the workout, she thinks she's gonna drag this case outside and dispose of it. Of course, she falls asleep. She wakes up. It's the day they're supposed to leave for the pageant. She's now dragging this suitcase outside, but of course, Armstrong pulls up in the van. He's like, "Oh, I got the van for our entourage." She's like, "Who entourage?" So of course, Nonnie's going. Officer Greg is going to protect Patty, because they're under the impression that Christian's still out there and he's stalking Patty. So Officer Greg is going, of course Angie's going, and now Stella Rose is going in the suitcase. So Bob grabs the suitcase and throws it in the car. He thinks that it's her clothes. Obviously nobody in their right mind would think, okay, there's a body in this suitcase. He tells her to go upstairs, go change. So they now have a car full of luggage, one case containing Stella Rose's body. Okay, I can imagine she survived all that time in the basement of that lunatic only to be killed by girl. Okay, anywho. So I'm sure. So they make it to the hotel, and they make it to the hotel, and Armstrong and Angie, they're talking. They're kind of just trying to decide what kind of relationship they want to have. And Angie, she was like, I'm not going to try to pressure you into anything. I know that you attracted to men if that's what you're into. He was like, just because I'm bi doesn't mean I can't commit. And Angie is not really the commitment type. And so they agreed that they're going to have an open relationship. And it's all good. So, okay. So, Greg is outside. Officer Greg is outside of Patty's room. She opens the door. He's there. She's like, well, you can take a break if you want to. He was like, no, that's fine. I have all of our necessities. I have snacks and all that. I'm even wearing an adult diaper. That was just TMI, but okay, whatever. So, she ends up closing the door. And Nonnie, she's like going through Christian's text. And he was like, it's amazing how his texting how it changes after he disappears. And so Patty, of course, to get her mind, was like, can we talk about something else? And then she was like, what? And then obviously Nonnie said, your mom and Bob is kind of weird, isn't it? I can imagine. So they talked a little bit, and then she just kind of I was like, okay, no, I'm just going to go ahead and turn in for the night and go on to bed. So it's the day of the pageant. They're all arriving, all decked out. They got the shades on. Of course, Officer Greg is dragging behind the suitcase that has Stella Rose in it. But, of course, they don't know that. And who do they see? Magnolia. Magnolia and Barnard shows up. And Magnolia is competing. It's like, wait a minute, how are you able to do that? Because her mom lives in Connecticut now. She's technically a Connecticut resident. And so she was able, and she said they wrote a check. And she's now representing Connecticut. Okay. So, of course, they're like, oh, shit, because she's always been Patty's her nemesis, right? When it came to pageant scene. And then they look over, and it looks like, and they see a woman that looks like Heather with the 5 names. And so they go over there, like, wait a minute. So first, Patty thought she was hallucinating until Bob said something too, and Patty was like, "Oh, you can see her too." So he was, yeah. So they go over and you find out that she has, Heather had a twin sister. She was like, I'm her evil twin. And couldn't consider what a bitch the other Heather was. Patty was like, you're evil? Like compared to the other one? Yeah, okay. So now she's like, oh, okay. And of course she's coached by Gloria. If you remember, Gloria was the woman that Bob kind of idolized in that last kind of competition they had. And she initially was going to coach Patty, but obviously it didn't work out. And so she ends up coaching the twin. Okay, so now it's the press time. It's like we walk through, they take photos, they ask you questions. It's the whole thing. Then it's, of course, the whole thing, the rehearsal. Okay, so now it's the night of the pageant. They actually have Lance Bass. He's the master of ceremony. I don't know what to call him, but he's the person on the mic. So, you know, they do the whole dance routine. And then, you know, Patty's out there and she's doing her capoeira. And she, they saying that she does pretty good. And so she, Nonnie sends a text to Patty saying that she did a great job. And then she responded. And so now Nonnie's looking at the format of the text. And then she's thinking back to some of the text that she saw that Christian allegedly sent. And is now starting to connect the dots. Like, oh, okay. And so we go back to the dressing room. And Barnard, Brick, and Magnolia, she's getting ready for her to, to do her routine. They're going over, going over the location. She's doing this whole thing, this magic trick where she's locked in this case and the straitjacket. She has to get out of the straitjacket and open the case, the whole thing. Okay. And so it's her turn. So now she's in the case and she starts having a flashback. She starts remembering what happened that night. And she remembers seeing Patty kill Christian. So she, makes it out of the case, the straitjacket in the case. And of course everybody applauded and she walked off the stage. So she walks off the stage and walks past her dad. And he's like, okay, well, are you okay? Whatever. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to the bathroom. Okay. So, and then Heather does her performance where she does this blindfold. She's blindfolded and she throws this tomahawk and she hits the bullseye dead center or whatever. Okay. So Patty, as she's backstage, she runs into her mom and Bob. And then she realized that her dressing room has been broken into. And so all hell breaks loose. So she goes to the dressing room. And of course, the suitcase is wide open. The suitcase that held Stella Rose's body. She's starting to panic. Of course, Bob and Angie are like, what is going on? What are you talking about? And then she said, oh my God, I can't believe she's gone. And then Bob was like, what do you mean she? They're confused for a minute. And initially, Patty asked Angie if she could step out. And she was like, no, I want to know what the hell is going on. What is she talking about? And Bob was focused on, what do you mean she? She's gone. Who's she? And then she initially wouldn't say anything. She said Stella Rose. And he was like, wait a minute, Stella Rose. And then she goes to, she attacked me and she ended up dying. And he was like, wait a minute, I transported a dead body across state lines. And then her mom was like, wait a minute, you killed somebody? And so now they're going through this whole thing. And they loud as fuck too. Her dressing room door was open and they're talking about all the people she killed. And then she was like, how many people have you killed? And then eventually she admitted to Bob, because initially Angie said that she was the one that killed the 3 drug dealers. And they found out that she admitted that it was her that killed the drug dealer. So Bob is sitting over there about to pass out. And he's like, okay, you told me that we're going to be no more lies. And And then next thing you know, Nonnie walks in and, she turns and she sees Nonnie, and Nonnie, she's like, how long have you been there? She was like, why does your text look a lot like Christian's? What is going on? Magnolia walks in and she's like, I need to talk to you. And then somebody mentioned Christian's and they was like, and there's like, what are you talking about? There's like, no. And so eventually Nonnie basically asked her, what is going on? Did you kill Christian? And she said, yeah. And so, of course, she had this whole emotional, oh my God, I just didn't want you guys to look at me different, just a whole narcissistic, full of shit, feel sorry for me, bullshit. Okay. So next, there's a knock on the door. So Bob, everybody is just devastated, and they all just sitting around shaking their head like, how in the hell? Of course, Angie's like, what the hell? Where did it? Hell, I knew I made some mistakes, but goddamn, I didn't know that I fucked you up that bad. And so they're just like, it's just a whole mess. And so there's a knock on the door. They have to now go out because they have to answer the question, or the last question. What makes you, what does being a Miss American lady or whatever means to you or whatever? They have to answer these questions. So she goes out and she answers the question. And of course it's this whole monologue. Okay. And then Magnolia comes out and she answers the question. And then she turns and says, Patty Bladell is the bravest woman that I know, and because in her, as far as she's concerned, because the only person she know that died is Christian. And as far as Magnolia's concerned, she killed Christian to save her. So at this point, that's all Magnolia knows. She don't know about Gordy and the 3 drug dealers, and it was Gordy, the 3 drug dealers, Stella Rose. And so Bob is now, he's out on he's just outside trying to get some fresh air, and he just starts thinking back on when she initially killed Christian, and if had he gone to the police then maybe she wouldn't have, maybe all the other people would still be alive. And then you see him about to dial 911, and then you hear the announcement come over there about to make the announcement of who won. So he's, instead of dialing 911, he has to know who's winning. So he's walking in, he gets pulled into the car, into this storage room by who? Regina Vagina. And so now she reveals her plan, what she had planned this whole time. So she was responsible. Okay, so before they did the announcement, Barnard gets a call from Coralee, and he sends it to voicemail. And there's a knock at her door. She opens the door, and her lawn is full of police. So she's like, what? She's like confused, like, what the hell is going on? Okay, so we flash back to Bob and the thing with Vagina. So, so she was like, she was the one who took Stella Rose's body, and she put the body in Bob's room to frame him for her murder. Okay. And basically, she was responsible for killing Roxy, and she's the pageant killer, basically. And he said, you killed all those people? And she said, no, you did. And so then she turns around, and you see that she killed Heather. The other half, the twin. So both of the sisters are now dead at the hands of Regina. And so it's this whole thing now. She runs out onto the stage, like, oh my God, the pageant killer. She makes this whole scene like she's the victim and she's about to be killed. And he gets tackled and thrown to the ground. And around this time, you flash to while she's telling like how she's setting him up. Remember how she busted out of that crawl space in Coralee's closet? Basically, all the evidence that they needed to convict him, she put there. The whatever was left from the explosives, Roxy's sash, everything they needed to connect him to these deaths. So Coralee is standing there now like, oh my God. Like she doesn't know what to do. The police are all over her house, searching everything. And so now Bob is in handcuffs, and Magnolia, I think Magnolia won runner up, but Patty actually won the crown. And so you flash to I don't know how far in the future, and Patty is visiting Bob in jail, and unfortunately Bob is not wearing his toupee. So he is looks just like a beaten down guy. Like he's just, and she's there talking about, like, 'cause she's a narcissistic crazy bitch. So she is focused on, this room they technically only allow clients and their attorneys to be here. So I guess being Miss America Miss has its perks. And she's showing him like these clippings, like, hey, we're famous. And there's even movie studios wanting to our story. And he looked at her and he's like, you should be in here. And she was like, I know, but don't worry, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to find Regina Vagina, and I'm going to get the evidence I need to convict her, and then I'm going to kill her. And then, she said, I'm going to take care of it. And he said, what does that mean? What, you going to kill her? She was like, and then he realized that she actually liked killing. And then she said, what are you talking about? And then she thought about it, and then you flash back to all of the times that she killed. And then she realized that's one of the reasons why she had gained weight. Like she was lying to herself. It was hiding something. It was hiding the fact that she's a fucking psycho serial killer and she enjoys killing. And so she tells Bob that, she's going to track down Vagina, and that she's going to let him know when it's done. And she headed on out the door. And of course, he tried to tell them to stop her, and she was gone. And of course, they came and restrained him, and it was a whole thing. And that's how the season ended. With Bob behind bars, without his toupee. And Regina Vagina is God knows where, because she found the pageant killer. They actually, how they threw out her kidnapping charges, it baffles me, but okay, but that was the trade. She found a pageant killer. They dropped her kidnapping charges. So Dixie is God knows where. Angie is God knows where. We don't know what state she's in at this point. We don't know what state Nonnie's in at this point. Like I said, at this point, they as far as we know, Magnolia only knows about Christian. And of course, Coralee doesn't know what to think. So it's going to be interesting to see how the third season, if, I don't know if they're going to come back for the third season, but I can imagine they will. I don't know. Like, this is just way too, I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect the season to end like this. But yeah, that's pretty much how it ended. And yeah, so I'm going to end that here, and I will see you guys, I guess, next season.